So what I'd like to do is to start off by looking at some of the things, specific things that might have been, when we hear presidential speeches and other speeches today, commentators and even regular people can see things in them and you think, oh my gosh, I see they said that. That's a buzzword, or there's this kernel of an idea. It's going to keep going forward. I know it's going to be an issue. And so the idea here is to partner up and to try to articulate. We've talked a lot about these, but the theory, the sort of proposition about the war that Lincoln makes, and then secondly, what the policy is that he's proposing. He makes a statement of a proposition of what the war was all about, and then he proposes a policy.
Well, no, these two people get along fantastic. This person didn't want to fight the war at all. This person didn't want a war that would disrupt the institution of continence and slavery in the South, because his livelihood would be...
Right, but he could always turn a blind eye to how the cotton was being used.
All right, so the theory we're going with is that there's blame to go around, right?
Right, and the South is not going to be punished. And I guess that's what she was getting to in order to understand what happens next, why Lincoln's assassination was such a tragedy, is because we know that Reconstruction went in a million different directions.
The war is God punishment.
Yeah, all parties.
He's really not talking a lot here about war to preserve states' rights. He's really focusing on the slavery issue a lot more.
I call these the POV cards, your point of view cards. I want to first ask you, does anybody feel particularly good about what you wrote? Not to show off, but you feel like you'd be willing to share with us either your theory or your policy, and or did it bring up any questions that anybody wants to raise with?
We kind of felt that people in the North, who really felt that they were sort of fighting a good fight, would see this as controversial. What do you mean we share the blame? We don't have slavery. We're trying to preserve the Union, and now you're telling us that we're partly to blame. I think maybe that's where some of the controversy lies.
Interesting. Okay. Yes.
We also felt that neither the North, kind of going on what Nancy said, that neither the North or South is going to be happy with his plan of no blame, and that he wanted to move quickly. Like the South now is going to be forced to join the Union, which they're going to be upset about, and the North is going to be angry that they're not, hailed as this victorious winner. That he's really got enemies on both sides.
Northerners that won't accept Southerners, Southerners that won't accept Northerners, and a 10% loyalty oath, which 90% of the population in that Confederate state doesn't want to be there.
Did any, I don't know how much you all got to talk about or you read about in the Basement Museum, the election of 1864. How was Lincoln, what were Lincoln's chances? What happened? Can anybody sort of revisit that?
It depended on victory. Yeah. Sure.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Well, it depended on victory and
military victory. Yeah. So how was he doing before Sherman started succeeding in the fall? Yeah, it was not looking good. Was it? And it was all over. And there are amazing images again of what happened on the Library of Congress website and in other places in Atlanta, in Savannah, and at the same time, just remember. If he hadn't done that, where would we be? It's a conundrum. It's a little bit like the conundrum when you investigated of should we have dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima?
Well, Grant as well. I mean, Mike was talking about should Lincoln take the responsibility of the death toll, where if you look at a Sherman or a Grant, their strategy was attrition and just keep throwing bodies at the problem until they run out of bullets.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy of what the best military practice is here. we do a play called The Road from Appomattox, and it's a meeting between Grant and Lee the day after the surrender, which we know took place. We don't know what happened in it, but we know it took place. Or at least in their memoirs, they both say it took place. And one of the things that Lee says is, this is the last war that will ever be fought according to conventional rules of war as we know them. And I think that was true in many ways. So, what else? What else is coming through here in terms of the controversy of his theory, his controversial theory, or what his proposal was? What is the policy that he's beginning to articulate here? Maybe we can move on to the policy. Yes.
The whole malice towards none, charity for all.
Mm-hmm. So what's he saying there? In his, if you were thinking of it from policy terms.
Well, it's directed towards the South. We're not going to hang the leadership like many want him to do up north.
Yep.
And after 4 years of hell, it's pretty remarkable that he would keep that focus on reuniting the country.
Just to repeat myself, is it just directed towards the South, do you think? I mean, what about those Northerners?
Stop hating. Stop looking for revenge.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the border states, it was a really big issue. As you begin to look at Andrew Johnson, one of the issues that we come up against with Andrew Johnson is that he was from border state. He had been holding out for 4 years as a member of the Union, as a legislator, a senator from a state that essentially had seceded. But he was maintaining his presence, which is why he was named vice president in the 1864 election. From a state that essentially had seceded from the Union, Tennessee. He was full of vengeance. Couldn't have been more the opposite of Lincoln.